The money in your wallet is a promise, and promises break. Ask the man in Caracas who filled his gas tank by handing the attendant a single cigarette. Ask the mother in Sarajevo who learned that 20 packs of cigarettes bought 1 kilo of coffee because the banknotes in her purse bought nothing at all. Ask the family in Buenos Aires who watched their savings turn to paper in a single weekend. None of them saw it coming. All of them survived the same way. Not with gold, not with stocks, not with a number on a screen. They survived with small, cheap, ordinary things they could hold in one hand. Things that cost a few dollars today, things that became money when money died. I'm going to show you 8 of them. 8 items you can buy this week for less than the price of one dinner out. 8 items that, in every documented collapse of the last century, quietly became more valuable than the national currency. Welcome to the Survival Research. If you're not subscribed yet, hit subscribe and the bell. This is where we dig up what the comfortable world would rather keep buried. And the reason nobody tells you this is simple. There is no profit in teaching people to need less. The financial industry sells you products that depend on the system staying alive. Every plan they offer stops working the moment the system does. A barter economy does not arrive overnight. It builds quietly, through inflation, through shortages, through the slow death of trust. And then one morning the cash is just paper. This already happened in Venezuela between 2016 and 2019. Inflation ran so high that gas station workers stopped taking bolivars and started taking rice, cooking oil, and cigarettes. A single candy bar held more trade value than a stack of banknotes. Stop for a moment. What you're watching is the surface. I've pulled together the full record of what actually traded in 5 separate collapses and built it into the complete survival research documentation. The exact barter exchange rates from the Sarajevo siege, written down by people who lived it. The household items that vanished from Venezuelan shelves first and what they traded for. The shelf life of every item on this list, so you know what survives storage and what rots. The quantities that historically bought a week of food, a tank of fuel, a doctor's visit. More than a dozen analyses in one place, built from sources you can verify yourself. The link is in the description. But stay with me, we are only on item 2. If you have made it this far, you already understand more about real money than most people with a financial advisor. Subscribe and share this with someone who still thinks their bank account is safe. Everything I am describing is documented in the full survival research package. The link is in the description. Now stay with me. The next items are the ones people forget until it is too late. The first item is the one history points to again and again: tobacco. In besieged Sarajevo, the tobacco factory never stopped running. At the start of the siege, many people were paid their wages directly in cigarettes. A carton sometimes sold for the equivalent of $70. For a single pack, you could get several cans of food from the aid lines. It was the most valued trade good in the entire city. Why cigarettes and not gold? Because gold cannot calm a man who has not smoked in 3 days. Cigarettes are small, identical, and addictive. Every unit is worth the same as every other unit, which is exactly what makes something work as money. The second item is coffee. In wartime Sarajevo, a kilo of roasted coffee traded for around 160 German marks. 20 packs of cigarettes for 1 kilo of coffee. Coffee is a stimulant, a comfort, and a ritual. In a collapse, people will trade real food to keep one small piece of their old life. That is what gives coffee its strange power. It is not a need, it is a longing, and longing pays. The third item costs almost nothing and has been money for thousands of years. Salt. Salt preserves meat without electricity. Salt makes desperate food edible. Roman soldiers were partly paid in it, which is where the word salary comes from. A bag that costs you $1 today does not spoil, does not expire, and never stops being needed. The fourth item is cooking oil. In Venezuela, fishermen who could no longer sell their catch for cash traded it directly for flour and oil. In Argentine barter clubs, 2 packs of flour bought 1 bottle of sunflower oil by an agreed list. Oil is calories, and calories are the real currency of a hungry place. The fifth item is soap and basic hygiene. When systems fail, disease moves fast, and clean stops being a luxury. In Venezuela, soap and personal care items disappeared from shelves early and traded hand to hand. A bar of soap is light, lasts for years, and protects the one thing nobody can replace, which is your own health. The sixth item is batteries. When the grid flickers, a charged battery is light, communication, and the ability to know what is happening. For many people in a blackout, batteries are the only power they have left. They are small, they store for years, and demand for them never falls in a crisis. It only climbs. The seventh item is the one people regret not having most: basic medicine. In the Argentine collapse of 2001, antibiotics and basic wound care were traded directly for months: pain relievers, fever reducers, wound dressings, any prescription a neighbor cannot refill. Medicine traded at the highest premium in nearly every documented collapse, because it is the one thing people will give anything for. The eighth item is fire, lighters and matches. A pack of lighters is tiny, weighs nothing, and does something every single person needs every single day, which is cook, boil water, and stay warm. They are cheap now and priceless the moment the lights go out. Now look at what these 8 things have in common. None of them is exotic. None of them requires a permit, a broker, or a password. Every one of them is small, durable, universally wanted, and cheap today. That is the entire secret of barter money. It is never the rare thing that becomes currency. It is the ordinary thing everyone suddenly needs at once. Gold makes headlines, but in the actual streets of a collapse, a cigarette buys a tank of gas, and a jar of coffee buys a week of calm. Let me be honest with you about the limits here. This is not a promise that society will collapse tomorrow. Most crises are partial and temporary, and in a short disruption, your cash still works fine. These items are insurance, not prophecy. And insurance only matters if you buy it before the fire, not during it. A few of these have real shelf lives. Medicine expires. Batteries leak if you store them wrong. Buying them is step 1. Knowing how to store and rotate them is what turns a pile of stuff into actual security. So here is the choice in front of you. You can keep all of your trust in a number on a screen that depends entirely on the system staying healthy. Or you can spend the price of 1 dinner this week on 8 ordinary things that have, again and again, outlived the money around them. The people of Sarajevo, of Caracas, of Buenos Aires did not get a warning. They got a Tuesday that looked like any other until it wasn't. The smartest preparation is the boring kind you make while everything still looks fine. 8 cheap items. 1 quiet afternoon. A floor underneath you that does not depend on anyone's promise. If this opened your eyes, subscribe and share it with someone who still believes paper is safe. Every share keeps this knowledge alive for one more person who might need it. The people who survived these collapses were not the richest or the loudest. They were the ones who, on an ordinary day, quietly put a few cheap things on a shelf and forgot about them until the morning the money stopped working. You have that ordinary day right now. Use it. The next file we open is heavier than this one, and the door is already unlocked.